But can I show you this baby? Do you want to see it on
Please,
camera? Look at
please.
her, I
Oh
mean,
my goodness.
look at this beauty. And it's
So
just,
fun.
I'm so grateful to have it. And it's just like here, I've had a proof copy for about 10 days. And so I'm so grateful. And we're in total trust. I think I shared a little bit last week around trust the redirect, right? Because this journal was scheduled to go live last week. And we had a couple of things on the back end printing side. It just wasn't syncing. And so we had to just release that and release that time frame, right? Sometimes babies come late. Sometimes they're past their due date. And so thank you so much. I was thinking about you all last night as I was, had a little bit of a challenge falling asleep. And then I slept fine and slept well, but I did use, it's like I'm grateful for my sleep stick and grateful for these tools. But I just had so much on my mind and heart and thinking about all of you and seeing so many of you show up in the gratitude series and several of you sharing online about the journal. I'm so, so excited for you to receive this journal. I called it my creation journal because I'd had this idea for years, like we want a gratitude journal, but it's evolved into bigger than that, where it has gratitude as a core practice on a daily basis as you visit your page. But it was also it's a visioning book and it's a manifesting book and taking inspired action. And it's one of those things where, you know, I'm so genuinely excited for people to receive this because this is a process I've been living for a few years. Part of the things I've helped achieve or create or call in, or we call manifesting of that, has been using this process of journaling of gratitude and then manifestations. And it kind of just becomes this magical space. These pages will become magical for you. I know several of you have bought the journal. Thank you so much. This week, because I'm a big fan of birthday parties, we have some really fun bonuses. If you buy a journal today and tomorrow, like in the next few days, if you buy it this week, I'm doing a 2024 virtual vision workshop, a vision planning workshop for your 2024. Andy and Natalie and I have done these sessions many times over in the past where we get out a flip chart and we map out Q1, Q2, and look at the year at a
So
glance.
much value.
So
So
I'm
grateful
going to
for
do
those.
that for free. And that's a $300 value. Normally we'd bill at $297 for that. And that's free this week if you order today, tomorrow, and get your orders in. And then where you claim your bonuses is at tiffanyspeaks.com/journal. So make sure you note that as well. Maria asks if we can't attend the live version of the vision board workshop, will we record it? Absolutely. So you'll receive that. Why I want you to have that though is I'm going to invite you to get out that vision planning workshop quarterly as a minimum, right? Come through it and literally right now put it in your calendar at the end of March and the end of then what? April, May, June. And, as different seasons in your life to visit that bonus for you. Second bonus is anyone who purchases in the next few days, they also get the gratitude series recordings, the 2023 recordings. They're free all through the month in terms you have a free week each week. But typically the past several years at the end of November, we'll sell those recordings for $49 for people to own them. That will come free. And for those of you that want to buy a couple of gifts, holiday gifts for team members or friends, this is a great, nourishing, great holiday gift. Anyone who buys 5 or more journals, you also have access to a private coaching session, group Q&A session, and entered to win my self-care luxury package that I'll be sending out. So there's some fun things that are happening, loves. And thank you. I see several of you saying you've ordered one. Thank you so much. Yes, you buy it on Amazon, just under my name, Tiffany Peterson. And the bonuses, you go again to tiffanyspeaks.com/journal. Or if you forget where to find the bonuses, just message me and we'll get you the link and get you hooked up. So, and just invite you as you order those. And then a final ask is if this speaks to you, feel free, please, to share on social. Right now, my husband told me this morning, so there's not a journal category, right? And it's the first several pages are like, read like a book. I'm teaching about visioning, gratitude, and manifestation and inspired action. And so we're in the self-help category, and currently the book is like in between Brene Brown and Oprah Winfrey, which I'm like, I'll hang out with those
What?
those dames any day. Now, keep in mind, they're not in the middle of a launch, right? And so we have some fun things happening, and it's trending as a top new seller, but it would be sure fun to like keep moving up that line, you know? So if you would share, if anything I've ever shared over the years here in Share Success, if has had value or added value to you, this would be the one way of just like, if that would speak to you, to share it on social and then leave a review. That would be a key thing to do, is if you leave a review on Amazon, many of you are getting your journals. They're going to start showing up this, you know, today, tomorrow. I think once your journal is printed and shipped, they give you the option to leave a review. And if you'd leave a glowing review there of what you think and how it speaks to you, that would mean the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. Like, again, I was thinking about you all last night and I just was like kind of getting emotional. Yeah, it just brings up, it's just great. I'm so excited for people to receive this because I know what it's done for me. And I'm excited for the magic that it will do for you to help you with your focus, your visioning, visiting your vision and the good stuff, and just in the sweet pages of this journal. And so anyway, thank you for being on the journey with me and letting me share my good, exciting news. And
we are so excited with you. This is, oh my goodness, what amazing creation. I just love the journey that you've been on and your willingness to share so openly with all of us, the whole gift. So thank you so much for who you are.
Yeah, thank you. And Cute Nat shared something on her social yesterday. It was just the sweetest. Like, I've just been overwhelmed with like my dear hearts and, you know, besties showing up, and then people all around the world, some of them I don't even know, right? In the gratitude series are like, I've got my copy in UK, and I'm here in Australia and Brisbane, and here's the link for Canada. And it was just like, wow. It's just so powerful. Yeah. So yes, Jennifer saying I was looking to share, but notice you can't see inside just yet. We're going to add more to that. We're newbies to this like launch scene, but I'll show you guys if you want to see. Can I share screen for a minute, Andy?
Yeah, please.
Let's share it with my intimate group here, you guys. But this is the core foundation of, oh, it says I'm paused. Give me one sec. Here we go. This, if you can see this image, the graphic, I know you can see also my whole laptop in the backdrop there, all my different folders, but this is the heartbeat of what the journal is teaching and supporting you to do and practice on a regular daily basis. And so the power of doing that. But let me show you inside this journal. Oops, one sec. Just a second. There we go. Okay. So can you see that on your screen? Andy, can you see that by chance? Okay.
Yeah, totally.
So this is the beginning of the journal, and we dedicate this journal dedicated to your future self and all the expansive possibilities that await you. And then again, you can kind of see here, you know, again, there's some teaching that we're talking about. You can see throughout, but then as we look at, there's some visioning pages. Here's like a sample page, right? Sample page of daily writing in your gratitudes and then what you're manifesting and inspired action. So you have multiple daily pages that look like this. And there's space for you to create. And then there's beautiful quotes every so often that remind you and bring you home. And then about every 20 pages, sorry, that might be scrolling a little fast. Here we go. There's a visit your vision page where we come home to your vision, come back to where you're at. And then the power, again, just more beautiful things that are throughout it. So this is what looks like inside and what you get to be creating. In the first, I would say it's about like the first 12, 13, 14, nope, it's 15 pages are content, me sharing, right? What that looks like. And then it moves into some vision pages, and then it moves into your daily manifestation work. So there you go. There's a little behind the scenes, and just so you can see yours and of what that will look like inside. So, yep, I've been writing in mine each day and just like so grateful. Yeah.
Love it so much.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for being part of it. And it's one of those things. I had a post go out last week. I love to say gratitude is potent medicine, right? As we add it to I'm so grateful for essential oils and for, my MetaPower and my supplements. And I'm also grateful when needed for antibiotics or emergency medicine, right? I'm so grateful for those ways. But when you think about gratitude, literally is potent medicine and how it shifts you, it supports you. And there's literally, if you go to Google today, I did a show a couple weeks ago and was doing some research for the show on this topic. If you search gratitude or benefits, health benefits of gratitude, it talks about literally, you'll see Harvard Health pop up, UCLA Health, you'll see the Mayo Clinic, and talking about literally by practicing gratitude. And that's why you see in the image there, it says gratitude practice. Because the truth of the matter, loves, is we don't always feel grateful, right? I mean, that's real talk. I don't always feel positive. I don't always feel grateful, but I clarify this, that gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a choice, it's a habit, and it's a practice. And I think it matters that even if we don't feel it, like how many of you have ever not quote felt like working out, but you did a workout, or you didn't feel like going for that walk, but you did it anyway. And then you're like, gosh, I'm glad I did that after the fact. Well, similar with gratitude is it's really easy to quote practice gratitude when we're feeling good, we're feeling, the positive feels, we're feeling excited. It's easy to be in gratefulness. But sometimes the reality is our feelings were not there. And that's why we practice it, is like any other muscle we strengthen. Well, there was this part of, these articles I was researching of looking at the correlation to better sleep, to better heart health, to better improvements, decreasing of anxiety and depression and blood pressure. And then one of the things I loved, though, that I think we really need to remind ourselves of, and this is why I love this gratitude, this creation journal so very much, is because as the Mayo Clinic article pointed out, our brains are not wired to appreciate. Your brain is wired to problem solve.
Wow.
The nature of just being in a physical body, and this is why we regularly have principles where whether we say the flesh, we're practicing the spirit over the flesh, and things, but the natural state of the human is we're wired to survive. Survival is the number one priority of your brain. Your brain's regularly taking in information. Am I safe here? I'm safe here. I can relax. I can regulate my nervous system. I don't feel safe here. I'm activated. I'm emotional. But your brain is regularly looking to problem solve and looking for threats, just in the reptilian structure of the brain. And so we literally, as this article is pointing out, we train our brain to appreciate. We practice gratitude, right? We practice, just like lifting weights in the gym to strengthen our muscle system. We strengthen our mindset muscle, our soul, by practicing all year round, not just in November, or October, when we're Canadian Thanksgiving or US Thanksgiving. Yes, it's so fun to do that in the holiday season, but all year round to make this a practice. And that's why, again, with this journal is why it's not just a gratitude journal, it's a creation journal, but gratitude helps you practice putting you into a primed state, right? The primer of I'm seeing the good, I'm practicing the good, I'm choosing to train my brain to scan and look for, where's God's favor today? Look at these miracles. I loved when I popped in, we said miracles. If you literally go through the rest of this day saying, I want to see miracles, you will. Because if you put that lens on your life, on your mind, and on your soul, like you're looking for the good. That's why some of you, if you've done mindset makeover and we look for feathers, or some of you see heart shapes, or some of you have numerology show up for you, like 444 or 1111, different things that you see, but it's like you can see the good in the world. You can see the good in your world. And so I just think, yes, I love many of you. This is really, it's one of those powerful principles, is I love being reminded of that. Your brain is not trained to appreciate. It isn't. Your brain is trained or wired to problem solve. And while that's a great feature, right? But how often we're regularly looking at all the things I need to do different, all the things I need to get caught up in my laundry or my home, or I need to solve the laundry, solve for dinner. I need to solve this issue within my team, or I need to solve this financially, or I need to fix my gardening or whatever's up for you. But the power of like, we intentionally practice seeing gratefulness, and that, while it doesn't always put me in a good mood, more often than not, it does. And so taking time to speak it, to write it, and at least practice it. There's been plenty of seasons though, or moments where I've still written in my gratitude journal and I'm still have something on my heart. But I'm stretching into the muscle of I'm choosing to see the good. And I think this is, how often do you think in your spiritual life, and I notice this regularly, again, in scripture or Jesus calling or other ways or spiritual teachers, the theme of trust and the theme of thankfulness are spiritual lessons on repeat, right? Trust, which is the opposite of fear, right? How often does spiritual text talk about fear or, fear not? Coming to trust, as well as having a thankfulness. Thankfulness, see, if I'm in thankfulness, even if life has some challenging moments, if I'm in trust and thankfulness, but thankfulness indicates I am in trust. Like, God, I know you've got me. I know you've got this. You've had me before. You'll have me again. You'll take care of me. And again, whether you say God, you say universe, I respect how everyone, connects to their higher power. But the reality of like, when I'm in thankfulness, that must mean I'm in trust. So anyway, so rich. So thank you for a good, rich conversation this morning as we get together.
So yummy. So good. I was thinking about that same thing. And let's go ahead and open it up to questions. If you want to come on live, we'd love to support you. But while we're waiting for someone to raise their hand, I was just thinking how, we've been in this build process for 6 years now. And it's so easy to walk around this gorgeous home and beautiful property and see nothing but to-do lists. Like, oh, there's paint splattered on the molding there. Oh, the painter missed that spot. Oh, it looks like the floor guy needs to come back and repair that little hole. Oh, looks like the molding has faded in the sun there. Oh, like if you saw our punch list in a Google Doc, it's literally 20 pages long. The items aren't listed line by line. It's just a flowing paragraph. Like each line item just flows one after the other. And it's really easy to give that all the energy, right? What's not right, what's not done, what's yet to be done. And there was part of me when we were fixing up our last house, I was like, you know what? I don't know that if I ever do want to own my own house, because then it's your project. And then it's your never ending to-do list. Like, what if we just lived in a condo for the rest of our lives, just rented, poured bacon grease down the sink, like
like go way crazy and put bacon grease down the sink,
Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's a daily invitation to choose. Am I going to go into problem solving or gratitude? So thanks again for that invitation and the power tool to stay in that space. I'm so excited to get my journal. It's ordered and can't wait to get it.
Thank you. And thank you for just keeping it real too. Because how many of you, yes, like Casey says, hi girls, she says, I feel like you're in my head right now, so true. And just thinking that thought is like, and there's this balance of it similar. It's like the laundry's never done or the dishes, right? Unless you're like, hey, listen, there's just ongoing part of living is there's things to do and create or achieve or keep working on. But sometimes even when I do my dishes, I don't always think this thought, okay, guys, I'm not a saint, but there are times I do my dishes and I'm grateful I have dishes to do, and that means I've been eating, and I've never once in my life had to worry about, am I going to eat today? I can't tap into that too much because, wow, see, there it goes. But I had this experience once. I was doing a keynote talk in Indianapolis, and I had gotten, come back to my room and picked up the phone and ordered some, I think, breakfast or something. I believe it was that time of day. And I'm in my hotel room, and this gentleman brings me this great, beautiful meal. You know, there's even a little mini vase with a tiny flower, and there's all the mini jams and honeys, and there's, you know, a herbal tea and a hot cocoa, you know, I believe, and a full spread, all this food.
Mm.
And as I prayed over this food, I had this experience again where I just realized, like, do you realize how, like, I literally picked up a phone and said, hey, can you just bring me food? Now we do that on an app called DoorDash, thankfully,
Yeah.
you know, but I just started weeping over this meal because I just was like, I've never, ever, I mean, how much abundance is that? You pick up a phone, and when you realize that much of the world still lives on less than $2 a day,
Mhm.
you know, and you just, and I don't believe like out of guilt, but just out of the deepest gratitude. So sometimes I don't always, again, feel this way. It's part of my focus. See what just happened. I'm having an emotional reaction because I put my brain somewhere, and how powerful that was for me. But the reminder sometimes when I'm doing my dishes, I'm grateful I have dishes to do. I'm grateful I have laundry to do,
Yeah.
you know, like, and it doesn't mean that you are absolutely part of being human. Is if we're in grief or we're in discouragement, absolutely. We feel those feelings. We have a lot of tools. You have a lot of great support with emotions coaching and essential oils and energy support and tapping and therapy and Reiki. And there's so many great tools. And it's just the awareness too, like, if we want to help shift some of that, we can.
So true.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have Roxana
Okay.
with us.
Let's
So
do it. Hi,
Roxana,
Roxanne.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me okay?
yeah, we can hear you great.
Awesome. So I love this concept of um, we have this primal brain, and it's seeming to me that gratitude then becomes a conscious choice. And I would love to hear the steps that you take in your mind, what you say to yourself when you're in a space, in a funk, for example, or in a frustrated mood, to shift into that gratitude more easily.
Andy, do you want to share first?
Why don't you lead out?
Okay. So I literally, is so in essence, like how I shift it. Is that what you're asking, Roxanne?
Yes,
A
yes.
lot of it is, I want you guys to write something for me in your notes, is my rituals equal my results, right? Rituals create a result. And like Andy was saying, he's loving the ritual of making his daily cacao. And then it supports his body, but he's loving the emotional experience of that. You know, it's like and for some, literally part of any task can be even meditative. You know, it's like, oh, that's a ritual for him, that he's doing that regularly, right? And so think about your root system. And a lot of times in life, we want the rosebud, right? Or we see a tree and we think about the fruit in the tree limbs, and we think of growth with those outcomes, which it is, but how we create that growth is we nourish the roots. And so I love a good alliteration. So you can also say roots and rituals and results, right? Like it's all in there together. But part of like what I've been, you know, modeling is I literally, like, I have a morning ritual where I start my day every day in some kind of prayer and reading before, like, I get into my phone, my technology, or before I do much of anything else. It's like I'm connecting to, for me, you know, myself, and for me, my higher power. That's a ritual that's consistent. And then often part of my morning ritual is I'm literally, not as like just, hey, a shameless plug, but I literally, it used to be in a regular blank page journal. I just would make my own. What I've now created is what I've done for a few years. And gratitude journaling is part of that. And so some of it is, what are your rituals? Because your rituals will tell you what you're more often than not creating. Because sometimes we hear about like an idea like, oh, I should work out, or I should, you know, drink lemon water, or I should gratitude journal. But it's what we're doing regularly, not perfectly, but more often it becomes your ritual. When you have strong rituals, then you can lean against them when you do get off track, and you will get off track. When you do drift out of the lane, right? When it's like, oh, I'm not in the lane anymore. I'm feeling, and we just course correct, right? You think, oh, I'm back in I'm course correcting. But when you have rituals that can help support you, and you can start a new ritual in this moment, right? Like one of my rituals is I move my body every day. And like this morning before I joined y'all, I went out, even though it's getting crisp here in Utah, it's a gorgeous November morning, and got out and walked and talked with God for a bit, as well as listened to a little bit of a podcast. And I just got out moving my body before I came and met to be here with you. And then I have a couple of coaching sessions after this. It's like I wanted to fill up my own cup. So I actually have a cup to draw from to support Roxanne and support others, right? And so thinking about your rituals with a lot of grace, because again, I don't feel perfectly positive all the time. I don't. That's not real, right? I don't think that is real, but I have practices or again, rituals that I lean on consistently, like movement, like prayer, like journaling, like using my oils that help support me, right? Before I get on a large stage or even a small stage, Balance essential oil goes on my feet and behind my neck every single time. That's a ritual. And it helps ground me. And there's a certain prayer that I pray. It's a ritual that anchors me, because I know I'm heading into a situation where my reptilian brain, again, that's wired for survival, is like, wait, what are you doing? Wait, what are you doing? You're going to put yourself on a stage in front of all these people? You might be judged. You might be stoned. Oh my gosh, what are you doing, crazy person? We don't want public speak. Are you kidding me? There's a reason this is the number one fear of all humans, even more than death. People would rather be in the casket than up giving the eulogy. It's like, public speaking for a lot of people scares the bejeebies out of them. And it can make me really nervous too, because I'm still a human, and my subconscious reptilian brain, who's looking to problem solve, looking for threats, is like, wait, you're going to get on a stage in front of people? What are you doing? Even though I've done it many times, this is why I have rituals that ground me, because I know, especially y'all, all of you, there's no new emotions. You need to be reminded of that. And that's why I love the emotions coaching that Natalie and Andy spearhead. Many of you are certified coaches in this, is there's no new emotions. And there are certain environments or scenarios that you go into, like a crucial conversation with someone at work, or a sweetheart, or a person, or, gosh, I'm going to click publish on this post, or go live on Instagram, or I'm going to get on a stage, or I'm going to raise my hand and share success. Or there's different environments, you're likely going to be activating emotions that could potentially, quote, shut you down. And therefore, having tools and having rituals you anchor to proactively, right? It's like, that's one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. So those are some initial thoughts that I have, or ways that I practice these things that help support me.
So good.
So then if I can, is it okay if I clarify my understanding?
Yeah, please.
So when let's say there's a funk, or like you're going on stage, right? And that reptilian brain wakes up and says, hey, what are you doing? What you do, one of those steps towards going into a space of gratitude is using the balance oil and using it to consciously ground yourself, to remind yourself that it's okay to do what you're about to do. Am I understanding that?
Yeah, that I do these activities to help ground myself. 100%.
Okay.
But again, I practice proactively, like, hey, I'm going to move my body, I'm going to pray, and I'm going to gratitude journal proactively. As the more that can become my habit, and I do it not when I'm just like, oh, I'm in need. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Ooh,
Sure.
now I'm in a funk. I'm not feeling great. I'm feeling upset. And now it's great to have our toolbox then, but I think it really matters that we nourish intentionally those rituals proactively or consistently. That way, when you do have, like last week, you guys, I was pretty bummed when I had worked my tail off the previous 6 weeks to be ready to launch by November 1st with the gratitude series, ready to go, had my things done. And then literally something outside my control, wasn't clicking, it wasn't working. And I had to release that. And I felt discouraged, cried. And I was like, because even though I know it's all perfect and it's fine, and if it's a week later, okay. But I'm telling you that I still felt discouraged, because it's like, I worked so hard to be prepared that this happens in this time frame. Like, have any of you ever really worked for a rank? in a month, and it didn't happen in that exact month. Any of you? And even though you're like, yeah, I know, Andy, you lived that this summer where you guys had done all the work for founders for July and it didn't happen till August, you know, and it was like, oh my gosh. But then you have tools where I didn't stay there long. I felt it, cried a little, was a little like, okay, matched with like, hey, you know, some other things going on in life. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. But then it was like, I have these tools, and because I have been practicing proactively often, it didn't wipe me out for days. I was there for a half an hour on like, okay, and feeling the feels and kind of blue about it. But then it was like, all right, well, let's move along. You know, we feel the feels and then it can move through me faster because I've strengthened already the muscle that I do choose to give energy to.
I think that's it. So the rituals are developing the muscle so that when you've got to exercise it on a moment's notice, the muscle has been fine-tuned and ready to go, ready to fire. Whereas without the rituals, can we all still move our arms and make actions happen? Yes, but it's going to be more cumbersome or more klutzy or more, for lack of a better word, it's going to be jagged in its movement. It's not going to be smooth. Whereas the rituals create the smooth muscle movement, so it's ready to go, strong and exact, as opposed to being lazy in the rituals, which creates a lazy muscle, which makes it harder to implement the skill when it's called on. Is that?
You just shared that beautifully.
Okay.
And again, I just want to offer some grace over all of the conversation, though, that it's not about doing it perfectly. It's just being committed, right? That's what I say to all of my coaching clients. Some of you know this from Success Academy, or if we've privately worked together, you understand that like we regularly lay the groundwork that perfect no, committed yes. Not asking myself. I don't ask my sweetheart. I don't ask anyone to be perfect, yet we're in committed relationship to the principles and the practices. That way we can see the transformation. Is commitment changes the world, literally. What's that quote? I'm not sure if I remember saying his name right, but Goethe or Goethe, but he's like, until one is committed, right? There's room to retreat, but commitment will literally move mountains, right? And that commitment is moving us into a sense of activating faith. And many of you may have heard this concept. You started the day, or at least when I joined you, you were talking about miracles. Faith precedes miracles. Faith is what activates them. And so if I'm regularly taking action on something, I'm moving myself intentionally in that direction. So absolutely, as we want to be in consistency, and again, starting with taking better care of yourselves, every one of you, you're worthy and deserving of that. And the things that nourish you, again, that we practice these things and they become more like a known ritual. We're like, now I don't have to try to remember to start my day with prayer or reading. It's my habit. It's familiar to me. I don't have to work so hard to be like, I should go for a walk or get on my bike or something. It's now my known habit. It's become that. Can we drop in one layer deeper on this?
Please.
So some work that's really been up for me in the last year, and it's not that it's new in the last year, it's just hit differently, but I really love, there's two books I strongly encourage you to consider reading. One is called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and we've mentioned him several times on this call before. Also, Benjamin Hardy's book called Be Your Future Self Now. And both of them are teaching into, when you want to create sustainable change, all of us already know, quote, the behaviors, right? Like the gratitude journaling is a behavior, working out is a behavior. Like if I was to say, what do you need to do to be healthier or get in better shape? Most of us say, well, I need to be mindful what I'm eating, my hydration, my sleep, and I need to exercise, right? It's not like we're like, oh my gosh, that's new information. It's like, we know these core essentials, but a lot of times we're not living what we know. And what both of them are teaching in their own unique way, but same concept, is also moving into changing or shaping your quote identity. Is seeing yourself as, I'm the kind of person that follows through. I'm the kind of person who, I'm fit and healthy. I make healthy choices. James Clear in Atomic Habits gives this amazing example of a woman who lost over 100 pounds in her weight loss journey. And I don't care who you are. That's impressive, right? Losing 100 pounds is like a whole person. That's like amazing. And you obviously don't put on that kind of weight or any weight overnight, and you don't lose it overnight too. But how she literally lost that weight, of course, is, we know, well, she adjusted her diet and made healthier choices, moved her body more, slept better to balance her cortisol, maybe took some amazing supplements like LRP, to help her, these kinds of things. But what was foundational is she asked herself multiple times a day, what would a healthy person choose? What would a healthy person choose? That's identity work. What would a diamond choose? Many of you are like, I'm not even silver yet. Yes, but mentally creating and forming an identity. I call it getting dressed as a diamond. What would a silver choose? What would a diamond choose? What would a leader choose? Right? Having a healthy, thriving marriage. What would my ideal, if I'm really being the kind of connected partner I want to be, that I want to be, not just what my husband needs to do or my wife needs to do, or friend or whoever. It's like, who would I need to be? And you start patterning into identity work, is who is she? Letting my future self, letting your diamond self, letting your thriving self, your favorite self is another one I like to say, right? It's like, who's my favorite self? Because she's vibrant, fun, kind, playful. That's my favorite self, not just quote future self. And you go, what would my favorite self choose? What would my highest self choose? Or whatever language is resonating with you. But when you really look at creating change, and so when you go, I'm the kind of woman that, how does my favorite self start her day? Or how does my leadership self navigate these kinds of conversations? Or what choices would I make here? What would my queen or king self choose? Yeah, Jennifer says, what would a person with a house by the beach choose? Yes, love that. She dropped us in. But both of those books have been great influences for me, Atomic Habits and Be Your Future Self Now. Both are books I've been through. Atomic Habits I've been through many times over. Future Self's just been out in the last year, so I've read that. I've listened to it twice, and I've had that book as well. But the point is looking into, who am I going to choose to be? And what are the habits of my favorite self? What are the rituals, back to our language today, of my favorite self? Because I know, like, I love when I'm just like, I'm in the flow. I'm in the good vibes. I'm feeling playful. I'm feeling lighthearted. I'm feeling kind, generous. Like, I'm feeling vibrant. I'm feeling on focus. Like, we're going to make some magic today. It might even feel like kind of some velvet. I'm wearing some velvet today intentionally. I'm like, I'm going to purr like a kitty cat today. Meow, like but it's the energy, right, that you're after. And so you think about those rituals that can help you. Andy, I'd love for you to weigh in on this. I've just you said, why don't you lead out? And I'm like, well, I'll just take the baton entirely.
Yeah, that's tough act to follow. I just agree with everything you said. The power of habits is how you, like you said, Roxana, just create the muscle memory, right? For me, the only thing I'd add is just when we're starting to get into that funk, right? When we're starting to feel the resistance, to me, it's just making the conscious choice to get curious. It's about having a conversation with the resistance, and Tiffany speaks to this all the time. The idea of just asking it some questions, just having a cup of tea with it, and just saying, okay, so this is showing up, and I like to say that at the core of all resistance is, at the core of all stress, at the core of all pain, is some kind of limiting belief. there's a belief underneath this stressful thought. And so getting curious enough to find out what the limiting belief is. And so, let's say you're about to get up on stage, and there's just, you feel frozen. There's just this, like, I can't put my foot up that stair to get on stage. And so asking yourself, what's the core belief? What is it that I'm believing that would keep me from taking action? And so maybe it's the belief that people won't like what I say, or I'll say the wrong thing, or who am I to be on stage? Like, there's a million different things that could be at the root of that, but getting curious enough to just step back and take a look at it gives you options. This is why I love the work of Byron Katie, because she has these simple questions that help us get to the root and then separate ourselves from the belief. See, the problem is we start believing our thoughts. When we believe our thoughts, then we start living a crazy life. And so if we believe that that somehow we could say something wrong, or that it's our job to never disappoint anyone or never offend anyone, then those are beliefs that create a life of craziness. Like, we become a crazy person if we believe those thoughts. And so if you want to go even deeper, that there's a deeper question of, if I have fear, it's because I believe that I'm separate from these people. And if we feel into the oneness that we have with the whole world, in fact, Byron Katie says, I'm perfectly clear that the whole world loves me. I just don't expect them to know that yet. Right? There's this consciousness of a oneness with the world. And if we're open to getting curious, then we can get into that space. Otherwise, we stay in this craziness, the insanity mindset, and we do get stuck. And so I think that's just my only add, is just, let's get curious enough to find out what the core belief is. So, and then there's a million processes. I love the work. You can go to thework.com and watch Byron Katie do this the question and answer. She calls it inquiry. So it's powerful. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much. I love your question, Roxanna, and I love your restate. It's creating the muscle memory. So well put.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yummy conversation.
So good.
So good.
Yes. And I love just another hearty endorsement for Byron Katie. I love her work. I mean, at first, when you get introduced to some of that, you're like, you mean I have to give up all my blaming? All my victimization? Wait, what?
Yeah.
But freedom on the other side of that, emotional freedom. But it's like, yeah. And it's liberating. It's freedom work. Right.
Totally.
So thank you for a reminder of that resource too. That's what I love about this community and us gathering regularly, is we support each other. We show up for each other. I loved Rosie's share last week, on the focusing on the 222 and just the reminder and how we come together as a group, and, people sharing their ideas, their quotes, their questions. We all rise and grow together here, and just being reminded of really good resources. I look at this call every week. It's like we come and get filled up, and then we go out in the trenches, right? And live it and, share and so forth. So anyway, so glad that we're all here together. Does anyone else have a final question before? I know we have a little time left. There was a question you posted to me, Andy. It was from
on Facebook.
That was a really good question.
Yeah. So on Facebook, Kata asks, how can we nourish our LRP customers? Do we have a proper steps or to-dos to retain them? Okay, this is a fantastic question. I'm so glad that you recognize the power of customer retention. That really is the secret sauce that we have in doTERRA. that I don't know any other company that comes even close. So, you know, we have a 60 to 80% retention rate, and that changes everything. It changes your experience as a builder. It changes the customer experience to just know and value a product so much. So really, the question is, how can I continue to build belief in more products that doTERRA has to offer? And so I would love for the community to weigh in here. What do you do to build customer retention? What do you do to help people go deep and wide with the product?
Mhm.
Do you follow a system? Do you have steps? Is it pretty organic? I would say that, first of all, the way you retain customers is going to be totally different for every person. And for some people, that answer is going to drive you crazy, right?
I know.
But like Natalie's number one gift is individualization. And so she handles every single person completely differently. She really feels into like who they are, how they show up as a person. Do they love systems, or do they like, you know what I mean? So if you like systems, Enroll Pro is the best I know of. So you just go to enroll.pro, and it's an app that has, Laura Jacobs is the creator, and it's got all of her genius in there. It's got all of the text follow-up, the email follow-up. And so if you like systems, go there. Even if you don't like systems, I would invite you to at least take a look at the resources, because the resource library is vast. It's incredible. So I'm loving all the comments that are coming through too. Becky gives a shout out for Enroll Pro. So that's one way. We talked last week about a little system that we've used in the past called Spoiled. It's basically just a little kit, a little package of goodies where people can try some of the supplements, you know, the shampoo and conditioner, like the MetaPower line, just all the goodness that doTERRA has to offer, but it's just a few samples. So it's a really inexpensive way for people to say, hey, you know, I've tried the oils, but what else does doTERRA have to offer? So we have our assistant updating that, so it has all the new products. So again, watch sharesuccess.com/library for the updated spoiled card. But yeah, go ahead and read through the comments too. Well, I guess Kata's on Facebook, so she can't do that. So I'm going to copy and paste some of these comments from Zoom to Facebook.
Yeah, but I've heard so many good things about Enroll Pro, and that it's just a solid resource to support you guys. So I would definitely tap into that. And I think ultimately, right, too, is like different ways. What Enroll Pro helps you do is create a system of connection. And that's the heartbeat of what your business always needs, and how to help people stay on LRP. I love when someone knows that's the core vision, right? Is how many clients and customers, right, helping them get on to LRP and stay on LRP. And if they're actively using their products, then they will stay on LRP. And so something of the nature of, you know, checking in and asking, I've modeled this a couple of times too, is if you're asking, you know, what products are you loving? And whether they've been with you in their first 30 days and you're doing kind of like a new wellness consult, like a new member consult, to they've been with you for 7 years. Those are great check-in questions. I'm just curious. Remember, you can ask any question you want. That's a bridge statement. I'm just curious, what are your favorite oils or products that you're using? What are you using regularly? What products in your kit or your cupboard are you not using ever or very rarely? And let's brainstorm those, and just ways that you help people. If people are regularly consuming a product, there's a natural just bridge they cross of LRP makes sense, right? We help them. And so again, what the Enroll Pro does for you though, is it gives you a system of creating consistency in terms of, right, creating connection and so forth. So, but regardless, whether you use a system like that or not, connecting with your customers is really important with how you help them get nourished and stay nourished and keep them engaged with, you know, using the product.
Back in the OG days, we used to have a continuing education series, which is 8 classes that basically took people through, like, here's here's how to really soak in the lifestyle that doTERRA has to offer. You know, it has to do with reducing toxicity. You know, let's go through and clean up your cleaning products so that we don't have toxins in them. Let's go through and do a gut cleanse, right? And so it was just really organized. I know that these are all in Enroll Pro. So if you're interested, but we would do those classes live. It was like come together once a week for 6 weeks. I think it was a 6 or 8. Somebody remind me. But anyways, the idea is let's go really deep on each of the product lines. And once people build belief in the product, first of all, they'll try them. And second, they'll be converted. And so you'll have customers for life. So definitely go check those out. All right, we've got one last question. Maria says, if you have life shift and a busier life going with family and things and other work that you need to do, how do you keep from feeling responsible for others? Maybe we can talk about this next time. Invisible belief I have is I'll get too busy to support too many people. Yeah, I love the self-awareness there, that the idea that is it my job to like every time I bring on a builder, have I just given myself a job that I have to show up a certain way forever for this person? That's a great awareness, and that could be the limiting belief. Yeah, I mean, another belief is like, are there systems in place that could support builders in perpetuity, right? Like, and I hope that by now you can see the breadth that doTERRA has to offer of training that could support new builders from A to Z, right? Like there's the build guide, the business building guide, the online training around the business building guide. There's even sales training, there's social media training, there's training on essential oils, how to you can become certified as an essential oil expert through doTERRA. There's sales training through doTERRA. Like there's just so much that you don't have to be the point person. Like we love to believe that everything hinges on us, but I invite you to let that go and be open to the universe is supporting me. God is supporting me perfectly. And no matter what life throws at me, I will be supported. And my business will be sustained. My people will be sustained. Leaders will be supported. So I have a personal belief that I'm perfectly supported. No matter what life throws at me, I am perfectly supported. And so that's just one that I would choose into. Anything else you want to add to that, Tiff?
I'd like to just add amen, right? Hands up, praise. Yes, but it's true. And again, even if we can't always quote prove that, you have a choice. And by choosing to believe that, we more often than not, you're going to see that, right? So powerful. Thank you for sharing that, Andy. All right, y'all, it's been a great session. We cheer you on for a great week. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Andy, any last thoughts you want to share?
Just gratitude. So grateful for you, Tiffany. Grateful for this community. Grateful to be alive and healthy, and the gift that we have to share what we do. So grateful for y'all. See you next week.